As we have successfully set up Cloudera Management Service on Big Data Server 1 using Cloudera Manager web interface, now let us understand the details about components related to Cloudera Management Service. We have configured 5 services. One is Service Monitor, second one is Host Monitor, then Reports Manager, then Event Server, and then Alert Publisher. All these things are already configured as part of Cloudera Management Service. We haven't configured Activity Monitor yet, and we will be demonstrating as part of this session. The reason why we skipped earlier and why we are adding this is, in certification exam, there might be a scenario where one of the component of management service need to be added by the exam taker, and hence understanding how to add components to Cloudera Management Service is important. Now let us see what we have. You can click on this Cloudera Management Service URL and see what all are configured. You can see there is Alert Publisher, Event Server, Host Monitor, Reports Manager, and Service Monitor. Now let us understand the purpose of these 5, and then we'll actually get into Activity Monitor, and we'll be setting up Activity Monitor while understanding the purpose of that as well. So the purpose of Service Monitor is to monitor services like Hadoop, Hive, etc. So when we say Hadoop, it comes with HDFS, Yarn, and MapReduce. And also on top of this Hadoop Hive, we also have services like Scoop, Oozie, Spark, probably Kafka, and many other things. All these services, as they are added in future, they will be monitored by this component of Cloudera Management Service, which is nothing but Service Monitor. And then Host Monitor. We have 7 hosts as of now, and all these hosts has to be monitored by someone. When we say monitoring the host, we need to keep track of how much CPU is being used, how much memory is being used, how much hard disk is being used, and how much is still available. All these details will be monitored by the component called Host Monitor that comes as part of Cloudera Management Service. And then once these things are monitored, if you get into the Cloudera Management Service, you should be seeing the reports here, and also when you click on other services also, you will be seeing reports related to that service, and these reports are primarily served by Reports Manager. So information is provided to the server by agents, and they will be consolidated by different components of the Cloudera Management Service, and Reports Manager will actually get the data from the database and render the reports on the screen. So that's the purpose of Reports Manager. Then comes Event Server. When the different cluster services are running on the cluster, there are several events that will be running in parallel in cluster. These events can generate exception or errors which needs attention to take necessary action, and all these things are taken care by Event Server. Also, we have to configure alerts for the operations team so that they can act on those alerts, and Alert Publisher is the service which will take care of that, and you should know how to configure alerts, and we'll be covering that part at a later point in time. Now, using services on this cluster, we'll be submitting jobs. For example, if you have Spark service, we might be submitting Spark jobs. If you have Pig, we might be submitting Pig jobs. If we have Hive, we might be running Hive queries. With Hadoop, we might be running MapReduce, etc. All these jobs needs to be monitored by someone, and we should be able to keep track of the information related to those jobs. And Activity Monitor is the one which will take care of that. As I have explained earlier, Activity Monitor is not included as part of the Cloudera Management Service. Now, if you want to add that, there are multiple ways to do so. You can go to this Cloudera Management Service. There is a drop down here. You can expand this, and you can click on Add Role Instances, and you can take it from there. Or you can click on this Cloudera Management Service, go to Actions, and click on Add Role Instances, or you can go to Instances tab and you can click on Add Role Instances. So there are multiple locations where this Add Role Instances is available, and you can click on this Add Role Instances and it will take to this page. It will show only those services which are not those components which are not configured as part of this service. One of them is Activity Monitor. You have to choose on which server you want to run this Activity Monitor. In our environment, we want to use Big Data Server 1 for all the components related to Cloudera Management Service, and hence I am choosing this and clicking OK. And then click on Continue. So Activity Monitor requires database access because it stores information in the database, and hence we need to create a new database. Earlier, when we set up the databases, I have deliberately skipped creating the database for Activity Monitor so that you understand end-to-end steps to add services wherever database is involved. So here you have to connect to the database. Let me come out of this and reconnect to the Big Data Server 1. and then say MySQL -u root -p, enter the password, and then create database. I will be naming it as AM for activity monitor, and then create user AM identified by IT Varsity. Let me make sure that I am using right syntax. Okay, I have to use like this. So let me take this and paste it here, and I will be replacing RM with AM. Now I have to say AM instead of RM. Now the user is created. Now we need to grant permissions on the database AM to user AM. The way you can do it is by saying grant all on am.star to AM, grant all privileges on. am.star to AM. Actually, I have to use syntax like this. Let me copy paste this one. And we have to change this to AM and hit enter. Now the grants are given. Let us flush privileges just to be safer, just to be on safer side. Exit from here and then go here. Our database name is AM, username is AM, password is IT Varsity. Test connection to make sure that it can connect to the database. It is successful. Now we can click on continue, and it will take care of adding the service called activity monitor to the Cloudera management service. Let us see if it is up and running or not. Sometimes it is a bit misleading. Yeah, the role is stopped, and hence we have to start actions, start this activity monitor, start this activity monitor. You need to make sure that the component of Cloudera management service is also started once it is set up. While it is starting, if you want to see if there's any exceptions, you can expand this and you can actually click on standard error and then click on full log file to make sure that it is coming up normally. If it doesn't come up normally, and if you don't see any information as part of this error log file, you have to go on to the big data server one, go to where log and go to appropriate directory with respect to activity monitor, and you have to get into the logs to troubleshoot the issue. Let us see if the activity monitor is coming up or not. It came up. If you want to troubleshoot if it doesn't come up, you can say sudo su root and then go to where log ls-ltr. I think this is the one which will have. Let us see cd cloudera sem firehose and ls-ltr. You can see activity monitor related logs here. You can open this and you can see if there are any exceptions. It looks good, and hence we have successfully set up activity monitor also. Okay, so this is how you can actually add components of Cloudera management service to the existing one. And also we understood what are the components of Cloudera management service and purpose of those things as part of this topic. That being said, by now you should have set up MySQL, create necessary databases for different services, install Cloudera Manager, and then set up CDH on all 7 nodes along with Cloudera Manager agents. It is time for us to configure services and understand concepts behind each of the service. That being said, unless you want to continue further, make sure to stop all the servers so that you are not unnecessarily charged. And the way you can stop the servers is by going to Google Cloud Console. Let me use appropriate user, which is nothing but this one. And then I have to choose the project and then go to the VM instances dashboard as part of compute engine, and then choose all the servers and then click on stop. It might pop up to confirm. In my case, I disabled that. That's why it is not popping up. Make sure you click on OK and make sure the servers are stopped. And if you want to see how much you are charged so far, it might be somewhat incorrect, or the billing might be a bit old. The way you can get the details is by expanding this and going to billing. You can actually see how much you are charged for. there might be delay to reflect the changes. And I started with 22,071 rupees credit, which is nothing but $300. And as of now, it's only 1,000 rupees, which is nothing but approximately $15 to $20 is charged from my credit. This will give you an idea about how much credit you still have while learning how to set up clusters using multiple nodes by leveraging the GCP credits. That being said, now it is time for us to get into further details where we are going to configure services one after the other.